From when I started to now, my list of diagnoses went from like this long to like this long, and it's like getting this long. It has been cut down by 75%. It is amazing. No one ever told me, or nor would I have probably believed it, that in 4 and almost a half months, I went from being morbidly obese, pretty much written off by physicians and dying, to I'm excited about life, living, healing my body. Hey everybody, I thought I should do a video on an update of how my diseases and diagnoses are going, because the list to start was very long. I actually had to write it down. When I started this journey, I had PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. I had type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, scleroderma, RA, fibromyalgia, GERD, sleep apnea, elevated triglycerides, depression, severe back pain, and tinea versicolor, which is just like overgrowth yeast on the skin that kind of looks like a rash. That's a long list. I was 32 when we started this, but I also was using a walker because the back pain was so bad. However, 4 months have gone by and things are drastically, wildly different. And now that list has gotten very, very short. So I thought I'd kind of talk about a little bit about each of them and tell you guys how they've improved and if I've been able to resolve them. So we'll start with the PCOS. I have not seen a gynecologist to have my hormones checked, but I can tell you my cycles are now regulated. I sometimes would go months without having one, or I've had like a 2-month-long cycle before. Not anymore. It's very regular. I follow a very specific pattern now. My bleeding isn't nearly as bad either, so that's freaking great. The next one is my type 2 diabetes. Can't even say that anymore. I am no longer a diabetic. I actually got my blood work back today. My A1C was 4.8, meaning I am in the wonderful, perfect range. I am not a type 2 diabetic anymore. When we started, I had to take metformin, glucophage, same thing, different name. It was terrible and made me sick all the time. I am no longer type 2 diabetic. I no longer take any medication for it whatsoever. So we'll talk about the fatty liver. When I went to the hospital for a little more than 4 months ago, when they did the CT scan, they got a nice good old image, and I believe they considered me stage 2. So I've been doing the blood work to monitor that. 3 months ago, the alanine aminotransferase test for liver damage, mine was 45 3 months ago. It is 35 today, and it is supposed to be less than 29 is considered normal. So my liver, it's healing. I'm going to get an ultrasound done within the next few months just to have a better 3D image and check how much it's healed so I can keep track of that. The scleroderma, I started having problems with it when I was in my late teens. I was having what's called Raynaud's phenomenon happen, where the hands would go very cold and entire fingers or just the distal part of the finger would turn completely white. And what happens is all of the blood circulation gets cut off. It is painful, it is uncomfortable, and it can happen for literally no reason at times. I had a lot of hand, specifically for me, hand pain. That was maybe the RA. I would actually have lumps and things come up on my joints, limiting my range of motion. I was 18 when this started happening. The pain was, when I went to the doctor at that time, the PCP, I told him I felt like an 80-year-old, and he actually laughed at me in my face and told me I was crazy. It took a couple years to actually get diagnosed with the autoimmune disease. They actually initially told me I had lupus, but as time progressed, they have more specialized tests that actually say, no, I don't have lupus, I have scleroderma. But now, I have no more Raynaud's phenomenon at all. I can touch cold things and I don't have it happen. My joint pain is 100 times better. I can hand stitch things because I do leather working and sewing. I can hand stitch for hours. And my hands might feel just a little bit achy the next day. But before, if I did 30 minutes of sewing, I would not have been able to use my hands the next day. The nodules on my hands are gone. And this kind of falls under the RA part too. The RA really did affect my hands. And honestly, with all this autoimmune stuff, they kind of just like blended together. Fibromyalgia. I am not lethargic. I am not chronically in pain. There would be times that just like going on the skin would actually cause pain for me. Right brain, just taking his hands and touching my skin would hurt. My own clothes touching my skin at times would just be painful. That does not happen anymore. I can't actually remember in the past 4 months the last time it has happened. So my skin would become excessively hypersensitive. Doesn't happen anymore. Joint pain, gone. Because I was having like ankle, knees, elbows, everything the Scleroderma and RA didn't affect, the fibromyalgia like ticked the boxes. That is gone. GERD, I have no gastrointestinal reflux disease at all. I have zero indigestion. The only like 2-3 times I have had it is when I've had chicken wings that have been cooked in seed oils. I can have just a little dribble of seed oil and it's just instant indigestion. No seed oils, no carbs, no sugar. I have zero indigestion. It does not matter how much fat on meat or butter I have no indigestion, no GERD. Sleep apnea. I could not sleep on my back. I would snore and then I would aspirate and then I'd wake up choking thinking I was dying. I would not sleep. I could not get into REM sleep at all because I would just constantly be waking up. That no longer exists. I can sleep on my back, my side, my stomach. It doesn't matter. I don't have indigestion or GERD. I don't aspirate and I don't snore anymore. So I get into REM sleep and I get excellent sleep now when right brain doesn't snore. Which I will tell you, it's a gazillion times better. He only snores when he's really tired or if he's sick. Metabolic syndrome. I no longer fall in the category of having metabolic syndrome. And you know you have it if you do have it. And honestly, most obese people do. Depression. I genuinely can say no longer depressed. I still have my ups and bumps and just, life stuff happen. I'm actually starting to work on getting off my antidepressant. Even being on my antidepressant 4.5 months ago, I wanted to go to sleep and not wake up. I do not feel that way anymore now. I actually wake up, I'm like, I gotta have a cup of coffee. What am I gonna do today? Versus waking up thinking, dear God, I have another day I have to go through. That's mucho better.
It's better for me too.
And right brain says it's much better for him too. I imagine it is. Severe back pain. I was having to use a walker because my back hurt so much I couldn't walk more than 2 minutes. Honestly, after 30 seconds of walking, the pain started and then it just got worse and worse and worse to at the 2-minute mark, I had to sit down. Even if I had to sit on the floor and couldn't get off the floor, I had to sit at 2 minutes. So I had a walker with a seat on it. It's raining right now, but gonna walk the girls rain or shine. I also got upgraded to 2 dogs. I got Ryu and Rosie, which means right brain gets just the puppies and it's just me and the old gals. That's okay because they're the best. And the last thing, tinea versicolor. That is when you have an overgrowth of yeast on your skin and it starts looking patchy, rashes, pink, tan color, and it spreads. Because we all have yeast on our body, but our immune systems can deal with it and keep the overgrowth from happening. I had gotten it in the bends of my arms, the back of my knees, the back of the fat folds. Honestly, I was getting it on the back of my neck and my shoulders. It was crazy the amount of places it was spreading. It's gone. I don't have it anywhere on my body anymore. And that tells me that my body is doing excellent compared to where it was at. And this isn't really a diagnosis, but honestly, I feel like it's the most important thing. I feel like my life is worth living. I feel like I have something to give the world. I am striving for the greatest good now to make, even if it's the smallest wave of good change. I know it will have an impact. When 4 months ago, I literally just wanted to go to sleep and never wake up. I will say all the other physical benefits have been wonderful, but honestly, I am most pleased and happy and thankful and grateful for the mental changes. I have come to realize that our physical represents our mental state, and if we are not in a good place mentally, our body will not be in a good place physically. And until I started to heal the mental part of me, there's no way I could have ever healed the physical part of me. And I truly think that is the most important thing to gain out of this. Please comment, like, subscribe. I love hearing from you guys. If you have questions, put them in the comments below. I'll either answer them there or I'll pull them into the Q&A for the week. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. I was waiting for the light to come on.
What? What happened?
Ink. That's okay. I did not just put ink on my cushion. I'm so sorry. Good Lord. That's so stupid.
Feed me! Feed me!